You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Cayman Islands, Massachusetts, United States, America.
You forgot New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. I want to say hi to a couple people if we can. Or say hi to Tim.
Nobody cares about New Hampshire.
Just everybody. Saying. What?
What?
I said nobody cares about New Hampshire.
Well, New Hampshire could be. What's the tax situation now? Have you
no income tax, no sales tax?
I don't know. I think I'd be more inclined to go south.
Meals tax, room tax.
But I want to ask Rick. I want to ask you and Diane a question. Okay, buy one get one free.
Yeah.
What wouldn't you want to buy one get one free? Like, if someone's like buy one get one free, you'd be like, what would it be?
Oh boy, I gotta think about that one.
Tumor would be one.
I can't.
I know. A rare steak dinner.
You wouldn't want to buy one get one?
Not if it's rare.
Want a rare steak dinner. It would have to be well done hockey pie.
There is no such thing as a well done steak.
There is.
That is sacrilege, blasphemy. But along those same lines, if it was buy one get one free, and somebody tried to give me steak dinner, I'd have to go find Diane and give her my plate because I don't do well done.
Yes. Let's see. What would I not want? I don't. You know what? I don't know. That's a good question.
Well,
that's a good question. What would you not want?
Oh, a husband.
Oh, you don't buy your husband.
Well, some people do, but I don't want two people telling me what to do. So I wouldn't want two people telling me what to do. I want to get one. I don't know. It's a lie because you can just buy the other one separate for the same price. So it's like, might as well just buy two for the price they are.
You want to know something? Alex brought up a really good point to me tonight, which I thought was really interesting, right? And he said, you know how the gas tax for the country and for states pays for the roads, right?
Yeah. Well,
supposed to, by theory. Yes. They claim it does, but a lot of the money goes, federal tax. Anyways, all right. So he says, but then you have all these people and they're pushing for electric cars. They're not buying gas and they're getting credits, but yet they're using the roads. So basically they're getting free use of everything tax-free. I'm like, you brought up a really good point.
That is a good point.
Yes.
And how about people just pulling up in free charging their car wherever they want?
Yes. And guess who pays for that electricity?
Cord and bringing it all the way to my house. I could use some free electricity.
You just helped me figure out what I wouldn't want to do. Buy one get one free.
Oh, what?
Electric vehicles.
Yes.
You can even give me one for free. I remember when the Prius first came out and I had my first Prius accident. Well, I'm pretty good with cars. I was like, what did that used to be? And someone's like, oh, it's a Prius. I'm like, when they were new, they were like $50,000 when they first came out. It's something you buy to be like, because I'm better than you. I care about the environment more than you do. It was like an accordion. It was like something a Suburban, a full-size Suburban eats for breakfast.
Yeah. But you think about it also when an electric car, for example, catches on fire, you just can't fight it with regular firefighting equipment. Okay? You can't. I mean, and the smoke and everything that comes out of those cars when they catch on fire is far more hazardous than if it was a gasoline, engine, whatever, car that caught on fire. It's a whole different, ball of wax. And
how about you go on your first date and the guy's super hot and you're young and you have on like 3-inch heels and then you go outside.
3-inch heels? It'd be more like 4 or 5. Let's just be talking here. Well, you're tall, I'm short.
And then he opens the door and he's dressed all cool and like super hot. And then he walks you over to his like white Prius. And you're like, ew. He could have come on a horse and it would have been so much more sexy until you saw his white Prius. And then he has hand sanitizer. And you're like, you know what? Before you get to the end of the driveway, like, this isn't going to work. This is not good. This is not. I was on a date. It was a lifeguard. So, lifeguards when I was young. So he picked me up. He had a nice car and everything. And all of a sudden we got on the highway and people were passing us. And I you start to get anxious, right? I looked down and I'm like, he's going like 55 miles per hour. And I started to get annoyed. I was like, pull over. I'm driving. Scoot over. Turned around, went back to my house. I was like, see you later. I used to ride around the block.
That's all right. I wanted to date with someone when they get to pick me up. They're like, oh, by the way, I'm sorry. My parents threw me out. I'm living in my car. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back to my house. No offense. I'm really sorry, but
How uncool. Well,
nice person, but no.
When I lived, I told you when I lived in East Boston, some of these guys, like, they lived at home until they got married. But
they were probably Italian, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't even wash their own clothes. Talk about the mother setting him up for a contentious marriage. Doesn't know how to use the dishwasher. Doesn't know how to use the washer or the dryer. I'm like, let me guess, you're Italian.
No offense to the Italians, because we love the Italians.
Of course we do, but I think there's a point where a mother should say, I love you and I've taught you some good life lessons, but from here on in, whatever you can do for yourself, feel free. I don't think you should still be doing your kids' laundry. That's just me at like 18, or making their bed. I don't know. I just think you should start making them an adult as soon as they can.
Well, I mean, you want them to be children, but you want them to learn responsibilities.
Right. About my
and,
cousin, I won't say his name. And speaking of responsibility, so big, huge house in Sagamore Beach. And I was much older. So my little cousin, Chris, is at the other side of this big house. And he's yelling for his mom. Mom! Mom! There's like 20 of us there, right? Everybody's drinking. I was just a little kid, maybe 15, 16. She's like, what, Christopher? She's like, I need you to come wipe my bum. She goes, Chris, you're old enough to do it yourself. And he's like, but I can't find the hole. Like in front of like,
oh my God.
Like a big summer cottage thing. And I was just totally mortified. Of course, now he lives in Manhattan, New York City or something, right? And he's, cool or whatever. But every time I see him, I'm like, Chris.
I mean, I can remember like my dad, like my mom would be sitting watching TV in the living room and he'd be standing in the kitchen and he'd be like, Peg! And my mom would be like, what? He goes, I need a glass of water. And I'm like, Dad, you're standing next to the sink and there's the glasses in the cabinet right behind you. Why didn't you get it yourself?
Oh my God, that was my
He's like, why would I do that when your mom can get it for me? I was like, Dad! It's like,
yeah, no.
That's why I learned at a young age. Well, I mean, my mom suffered from, she was what they used to call, it used to be manic depression, and now they call it bipolar, whatever. Yeah. But, as a kid, we didn't see her afternoons ever because she would just stay in the bedroom. We had to bring her up trays of food, like soup, crackers, whatever a little kid of like 8 or 9 could make. And,
right.
And somehow or another I managed to get that. I should have been a waitress, but I would drop it now everywhere. But we had to carry it up on a tray. And it's when I grew up, I never, ever allowed even me and the kids, even Alex, to ever have food in the bedrooms. Because I'm like, you need to go either into the kitchen or if you're watching some TV, whatever, have it there. You're not bringing any food into the bedroom. And unbeknownst to me, Gabby, she would sit there and like, throw her like bags, whatever, from sports. And there might be candy in it or whatever. And like one night, oh God, it must have been like 11 o'clock. I go in her room and I was like, oh, this little ant's crawling on her like bed rail, the bunk bed. I was like, what the hell is this? And I could see they were like marching in a trail. Like, I hate ants more than life, right? And I'm going, I got Alex up. I'm like, Alex, what is this? Whatever. Oh my God. We drove to, this is how you know the act of desperation, to Walmart at midnight to get ant traps.
Oh,
And I got her sister on the phone, and I'm like, you tell this. I was in New Hampshire. They were made. I'm like, you tell Gabby when I get. I threw out. I was beside myself. I'm like, I hate ants, and here's the reason why I hate ants, especially carpenter ants. I was like doing exercises in the living room, and I felt like something on my shoulder, and I thought it was an ant. And I pinged it off. Whatever, it's an ant, right? And then all of a sudden, I look up where my kitchen door is, and carpenter ant nest broke into my kitchen, and like my wall was literally almost black. The wall was black. The ceiling was black. I mean, I've never seen so many ants. They were on the floor. I was sitting there, I pinged over to the kitchen sink underneath. I grabbed the can of Raid, completely sprayed the entire kitchen with Raid, right? And I'm on the phone going, Alex, all he got out of me was ants and Raid. And he's like, oh, he was on his way home. He pulls up. He's like, what the heck's going on? Is Renee okay? I'm like, I went to the kitchen. He was like,
seriously?
Oh my God. He goes, it took him 4 days. 4 days to clean it up. Huh?
Ants?
Oh, we're not talking one ant. We're talking thousands of ants. The walls were black. So the next day, of course, I had the pest control come right out, and they, it was the builder's fault. What they did is they forgot to put the flashing between the deck and the siding. So the nest, I think it was a dry summer, or whatever, but the nest broke in. It came right in all through the doors. I was beside myself. Oh my God, this is the only good ant is a dead ant. So I hate ants more than anything.
Huh. Well,
that's my story.
We'll be eating them.
Yeah. Well, guess what my lovely husband would do? He'd send me back in the day when it was faxes. He'd be drawing ants, and he'd call me Auntie Di. And I would sit there and be in my bedroom, and I'd come out, and he'd have on, what is that? What's that show with the big giant ants? It or something like that. Or not It.
Anthony. Anybody from the city? Anthony.
No, it's from Creature Double Feature. I can't remember what the heck it was called. Damn. But it was a big giant ant. I'm like, really?
Oh my God. No. How about so when I used to go to the Bahamas a lot with that guy that I married, and we used to go on vacations together, and these frogs, I can't stand frogs. So we were in the Bahamas once, and when the kids were really little, I think the twins were 2 and Kyle was 3. It was really fun. But when you open the door to go, it's the bathroom's half inside and half outside. So these frogs are on the toilet seat or stuck to the mirror. And I don't know why I skeeve frogs. I don't know why. I love the peepers outside here. You've heard them in the vernal pool. The vernal pool. That my neighbor so kindly pointed out when we were in land court for 2 years because we interfered with the mating migration of the spotted salamander. So, anyways, but they sound great, but I don't like them. They move fast. I don't know what it is. They're just gross.
You know the big giant bullfrogs. Them
This one night, so we were fishing in Turks and Caicos once, right? And this guy's messing around with this shark. And the boat was small. It was like a flats boat, right? So maybe 10 feet, or if it was even that, okay? And he's buzzing around this shark. I don't know what kind of shark it is. I am freaking petrified. I'm like, what are you doing? He didn't tell me it was one of those sharks that allegedly don't eat people. But
basking shark?
I don't know what it was, but this thing was long as my couch. What's that, 10
basking shark? Yeah.
Right? Man, he's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't believe I paid $600 for a half a day of fishing, and this guy's trying to kill us. But then afterwards, because I was too scared to say, what the F are you doing? And then finally when he stopped, he's like, oh, that wouldn't bite you. I'm like, and you thought you were getting a tip, and you're not.
Oh, jeez.
That's some people think things are funny, and then you don't. When you're at the bathroom and your kid's been waiting there for you for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they're like, ah! And you jump, and they're like, ah.
I can't. When I was in Turks and Caicos, we went snorkeling, looking for the conch shell, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This water is moving fast, and I am not going on the other side of that reef because that's where the sharks are, and I'm not doing it. And I was like, I'm like, I'm getting back on the boat. Well, I pushed up on my fin to get onto like the ladder to climb up onto the catamaran or whatever, and a sea urchin like stung me, my toe, and I was like, talk about pain. I like got on there, and of course, then the boat captain's like, oh, well, we need to get that out really fast because it could be like, it can cause issues, whatever. I was like,
issues.
I'm like, well, what do you? I'm like, what do you have? Because this hurts like a mofo, right? He goes, he pours this big, huge cup of the rum punch, whatever, right? He's like, all right. He goes, we're going to use this because it has alcohol in it. So he hands me the thing. He goes, you drink this. I'm taking that. I was like, whoop, guzzle right down. I said, I need another one.
It was like a porcupine.
It put a black. It stung me with something. It hurt like so bad, whatever. But he got it out, whatever. But I was like, my toe hurt so bad. But I was like,
at least he didn't yell pee on it.
No, he medicated me with rum punch. It was good. But I was like, I told Gabby for years, I was like, wasn't a sea urchin? It was a sea anemone, right? So just to get them going all the time, I'll be like, yeah, I got bit by a sea anemone, and they burn out. My husband will be like, it was a sea urchin.
Like, shut up.
I'm like, it was one of those things,
I see these old couples, and they're like, and they're out, and they're like in their late 80s, whatever, and he opens the door for her,
yeah,
and puts a sweater on her shoulder. I'm like, did they just get married a couple years ago? Have they been together this whole time? Do you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huh.
They absolutely have. I mean, I can remember my grandparents. I mean, my Papa Bill, we used to call him Nana Marge, whatever. He'd sit there and always like put her sweater on, and he'd be the first one. They'd be like, Margie, you know what I mean? And she'd be like, shut up, Bill. I mean, they just, because you could tell they like adored each other. I mean, I'd be like, Nana, tell me the story. She's like, I was 14 when I first saw your grandfather, and I decided that's the man I'm going to marry. So he had this is before they had cars, and he had the horse and carriage. She threw the girl off the carriage and hopped up next to him. We always heard that story.
Oh, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. Why not, though? Hey, if you want somebody, you want somebody.
I can't remember. It's one of our friends, and I'll have to do some inquiry. Oh, I know who it was. Not somebody but at the altar. She was literally at the altar, met this, I forget if he's like Scottish or whatever. And he was like, don't marry him. And she was like, okay. and she took off. And,
with the Scots guy? With the Scottish man?
Yeah. And he's one of those, you know how some men are just, you don't have to look at him and you're like, wow, that guy could probably, if he punched somebody, would have some real good power behind it. Like, could probably knock somebody, like one punch if he got it.
If he's Scottish, he's probably one of those ones that does the Highland Games, and he carries that like big telephone pole and hucks it.
Well, I'm just telling you,
can't remember the name of what that is, but
it was literally if he had a cinder block on his hand, like, you know what I mean, just big, one of
forearms,
and handsome, and could, like, the way I like.
Were you at this wedding?
No, they were telling me this story.
Oh.
Because their kid could swear like a truck driver, like he could use F in every single, because the guy's not Irish. What did you just say? Scottish. So it's like fool, puck, fool, all the time. So the kid would come to the Osterville Fishing Club, and somebody said I thought it was campaign transparency, and we have plenty of time.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's coming. Stay tuned.
And the waitress came over like, can I get you something? He was like, oh, look, some fucking fries. Because he had always said, right? So the kid would get in trouble. And he ended up graduating from Mass Maritime, real good kid, but tough. Like, he took, karate or whatever since he was a little kid. And, of course, he was throwing F-bombs. I'm sure the schools loved him. And his mother was just like, he's just like his dad, and I love him. But she
I have to say, like, going over to Scotland in the UK, for 5 years I went over every year, and the Scots are just the most amazing people. Really, they are. They love Americans. I mean, they're just, we always heard the rumors Glasgow was such a terrible city, but Glasgow, was fantastic. It was beautiful. The people were warm and nice, and I loved it over there. Then you go to England and London, and that's a whole complete different ball of wax.
I had a guy, Gary Loudon. He was in Air Force at the Air Force training. We were in Air Force training together in Colorado, and he was you might have met him, Diana, at that party that I had when somebody burned down the staircase at the beach. I got in so much trouble.
I know you did.
I don't even know who those people are. How would you invite someone? Like, why would I invite someone who would burn down a whole entire staircase?
It was. I remember he was very tall and had glasses on his head, and I have a picture of him.
Well, I got kicked out of the house that night for sure. I had an Air Force friend down from Minnesota. But good, I just lost my whole train of thought because I was just picturing this emblazoned staircase. And my mother cracking the shit out of me. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I seriously don't know what you're talking about. The stairs are on fire. I'm like, oh crap! Right at the someone started. We had a get together,
a bonfire.
Right
at the end of it, we celebrated with a big, huge bonfire.
Yeah. And then, unbeknownst,
not realizing that they ripped down some staircases to put it in the bonfire.
Well, some other kids that weren't invited, I don't even know who they were. And next thing I know, I'm getting dragged out of my house by my face. It's like, okay.
I mean, my brother was there. I remember because they decided in their brilliance that they were going to put the keg in the water, when it was like low tide, and then high tide came in, and they were like, running out after the keg.
The water was freezing in Saginaw.
I know,
freezing. I mean, you could put yourself into not amnesia, but you could literally put your foot in there and someone could operate on it because it would be so cold you wouldn't feel a thing. Oh my God. And then, so to get my mother back for throwing me out of the house, maybe months later, I had brought some friends home from college and she was like, I'll drink you guys under the table. Like, we're professionals. Like, we're in college and you're like, whatever she was. So I wrote "ha" backwards on her forehead in permanent marker, like
you
Sharpie.
Did not.
I did, and every stroke I would laugh so hard I'd have to lay on the floor so I wouldn't make any noise and hold my own mouth, and then I'd get up. Of course, I was buzzed too, right? And then I'd make the cross part, and she would sniff her nose, and then I would do I got the ha, and then the ha the other way, right? So this friend of ours, Peter Barry, who since died. He was really good friends with my stepfather, and he would knock on the door to get the trash the next morning, and my mother's got "ha" written on her forehead, and she looks like she should have "ha" written on her forehead because I think we were drinking tequila or something like that, and she just she got a little out over her shoes, and so she had mascara down one eye, and she was wearing this zip up one-piece Nana one-piece Nana bathrobe. If you had given her a clear trash bag and filled it with empties, you would have been like, yep, that's exactly what I thought that was. And she still hadn't gone to the bathroom yet, so because she had fallen asleep on the couch, and I heard the knock on the door, so of course I'm upstairs looking out the window, and it's Peter Barry. He did not say a word to my mother. He was like, hello, good morning, Sandra. And she was like, oh, how are you, Peter? We had such a fabulous night here last night. And he's like, I know, I was here. And she's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Can I get you some coffee? He's like, no, Sandra, I think I'm just going to take the trash. You have a good day now. And he totally nonplussed, didn't say a word. And then she made breakfast. And then my stepfather came in. He was like, he started what the hell? And then he starts laughing. And then she was mad. And then she was laughing until she couldn't get it off because it was Sharpie.
Then you got thrown out again.
I was like, ha, ha, ha.
Oh, my God. So we're going to talk about what they want us to talk about, which is...
okay. Someone said again, campaign transparency night. Okay.
So I wanted to know what you thought.
For us, I was going to tell people what I spent. Is that what?
I don't know, because I didn't see what you put. But we figured, because we talked to our digital media people, that in the Republican state committee race for the Cape and Islands, even though they're claiming it's not necessarily true, we know it is because the experts have told us, that the Crockers, who Daryl and Haywood and Mike Arnold, who was on the show last week, ran against, we're thinking, or they're telling us, probably over $100,000 for a volunteer position. Okay.
Yeah.
And now,
we'll just have to get into TV ads. And
yeah. I mean, granted, you can get the ads in like the New York Post, so the digital ads. I mean, you can. It's no different than putting. Although why it would be in a New York newspaper, but anyways, but yes, the TV ads, obviously cost money, and the flyers, cost money, and they were literally sending out flyers. It seems like every other day, pretty much. I mean, people are getting them in. My brother even got them. He's like, I live in North Reading. I mean, granted, he got them in their Cape mail, but you know what I mean? It's not like they sent them to selected voters, like people who voted Republican. They sent them to every single address in every single town on the Cape and Islands. And that is a lot of money.
I think they did 4 mailings.
Right. So we know
could be about 8,000.
8,000 to selected.
Well, right, to cover the whole Cape selected wise.
Yes, theirs was not selected. Theirs was to current resident.
And listen, if what they were campaigning on was true,
mm-hmm.
I would feel great. But what they campaigned on was misconception, and that is what I'm so like. That the fact that people can't see that, or that they don't care to see it, so that's a definite problem. But
I mean, their campaign promises. Okay, their campaign. We're going to fight illegal immigration. We're going to
advocate for it, but we're not going to sign the petition so that they can't get a driver's license.
But they're going to, right. We're going to grow jobs. That's not the role of a state committee person. It is to find candidates to run for state, legislatures and it's only state legislature and the federal offices that can actually affect legislation in the state to do what they claim they were going to do.
Well, I disagree. I think
you got your local offices. Those are ordinances though, but guess what? The state law supersedes.
Interrupt this.
Yes, ma'am.
She's going to grow jobs for her friends.
Oh, absolutely.
When they start building these high-rise illegal invader apartments, Judy will be marketing it, and I'm sure Rob Chamberlain will be doing the legal work. And then, Dave Sampson just started a couple LLCs, so he'll be doing some of the, probably.
Do they honestly, this is how arrogant and dumb they are. They think, that they can secretly go out there and start all these LLCs that you have to put your description what your LLC is going to be for. Okay. And they think that people are going to be quiet about it, or that we're not going to find out about it. Well, of course we're going to find out about it. Just like Judy Crocker has, what she claims is a subsidiary of her Make Known, whatever the fuck marketing it is. All right. Well, guess what, Judy Crocker? You want a subsidiary, you got to register it with the state. So you know what? You might want to do that before someone else does. And guess what? Then you got a copyright violation. Now, don't you, Judy?
Well, the thing is that people get so emboldened, once they start entering into
politics.
Dishonesty. Dishonesty, right? So let's just call it what it is, because, I never thought that a law enforcement officer would, when I was, wanting to run against Julian Sear, a guy who is a single agenda activist and, wants to legalize prostitution, all the things that you don't want on your child's menu. Hey, Mom, can you get me a ride to the free heroin safe shoot up site? the fact that the police reform bill crushed police officers, and the fact that two police officers would not support me means that they support Democrats. So when you can be bought or manipulated, even when you have a pension to be a state trooper, you know what? You're not going to be destitute, you know. If you're being a politician is the only way that you can serve your family, it's the only way that you bring in money, you know, then, you know, you're going to sell a lot of your soul with it. But the two people that I'm speaking about both have pensions. So I call that FU money, because just do what's right. But they somehow get pulled into this void where they're only surrounded by people who are fearful. So she's crazy, don't talk to her, everybody hates her, that person is part of the KKK, and this is how you get someone who manipulates other people. And when you see it firsthand, and you see people who have FU money and they have power and they have presence, when you see them react fearfully and compliantly to someone that they know is a fraud, is astonishing, is unbelievable that people have no idea who they're voting for. They don't.
And what I find appalling is for the two of these, you know, ones that you're speaking of, is, you know, you wouldn't hesitate as a law enforcement officer to have their back at any single time of the day that they needed you.
Right.
Okay.
But neither one of them
they forsake a fellow brother, sister, whatever you want to call it, for what?
Because they were sold already. Because they were already sold.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I you know, one of the officers, one of the former officers, he has done good as far as some state legislation has gone. But the one who was the catalyst, who is the one that told you verbally and written about that unwritten rule, he definitely sold out.
Well, he cried the last day at the State House and said, "You people have made me the man that I am today." Yeah, they did. They sure did. They sure did make you the man that you are that day that you left. And that's nothing to brag about.
But here's the thing. He thought that, and this is one of the positions that, you know, Judy Crocker lost for the Cape and Islands. You know, she's certainly good at raising money for herself and making sure that she wins. But unfortunately, sometimes she can't even find a candidate to run, or she loses. I mean, there's 2 seats right now pretty much down the Cape and Islands.
Listen, I think she's paid to lose.
She probably is. I don't know that for a fact, so I can't answer that. But
no, I'm saying she probably is paid to lose. I mean, why else would Tim Whalen still endorse her after he paid her, you know,
$65,000 to lose?
To lose the campaign. And the thing is here's how it goes in big picture was. So Ron Kaufman is a national chairman, and he's a lobbyist, and he's out of Boston. They don't want anyone in Boston to be a point of contact. They don't want a Republican Congress there because Ron Kaufman is a lobbyist. So he'll make a ton of money. And if we ever did put someone Republican in Congress or another senator, then no one would go to Ron Kaufman. They would just go to that congressman. So it's a self-protective job. And it's the same with Judy. She has a marketing company. Now,
it makes money off of candidates.
Right. I mean,
but wait a minute. But my time is a gift to the candidates. Bullshit.
Can you imagine saying that to anyone?
I mean, and I'm not going to say anything, but people really, really, like, especially from, say, like the Trump campaign or whatever. But the person, and I'm not going to say any names, in charge of the Mass GOP is a Democratic lobbyist. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
But if we even go down smaller, what it tells us is that people don't pay attention. They're not paying attention to what's going on in their town. They're, people got to start looking. What does Orleans have, a $68 million budget? I think Barnstable has a $40-something million budget. Do people know where that money's being spent? How many people have charged up their car? Who is paying for that? The DPW.
I would say, okay, and we spoke about it last week. All right, when it came to the numbers, okay, it was a very close election between you and Judy Crocker.
It was.
That you spent $100K on, and you didn't even you weren't even a tenth of that.
That's
okay.
10 to 1.
Huh?
It was 10 to 1. They outspent us 10 to 1.
Okay.
Maybe plus another 20. So,
but here's the thing: you guys reached out to the people directly, okay, and you sent a message, and we, did a lot of social media. We did, we put out our bloopers. If you ever want to go to Double D Uncensored, the bloopers, I put out a couple that were actually damn funny, actually. One of them that I thought was really funny because I caused that one, because I sat there and we did the whole thing, and then I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to hit record. And it was so good too. But and this opened up my eyes a lot, because I'm become, I get really angry, and when I get really angry, I want to destroy people. And the fact that of their lies, but not the lies. We did a good job of educating a lot of people, but not enough. We still don't know. It was an open primary, so that if you were unenrolled, you could ask for a Republican or Democrat ballot. And obviously there definitely was some crossover, which you could tell by looking at how many people voted for Nikki Haley. Obviously, but you were competitive. You were very, very competitive for the fact that, the amount of money spent. But that doesn't mean you're going away.
Well, I mean, there's not a license for this. It's not like you need a license or that you need permission from someone. But what makes me sad is I know the kind of candidates she puts up, and the kind of candidates she puts up are ones that lose. And, we had some really great candidates, 3 candidates that want to run. And they are worried that if they do run, that they're just going to be thwarted by Judy Crocker, because my best guess is that Judy works very closely with Democrats, because she wants her candidates to be Democrat-like. I think Tim Whalen even bragged one time that he was progressive, and I almost gagged. And, even Chris Luzon has said that, he's happy to work with Democrats. So,
but I mean, the only way you're ever gonna, and this is what we all, I think, can agree on, instead of focusing on what both parties disagree on, start focusing on what you agree on.
So, but what I would hope is that they're educated on what they're voting on, because these bills are coming to the House now, and they're doing these add-ons. I don't believe it's constitutional, but I'm not an attorney, thank goodness. But they'll put in, if this bill passes, there'll be no need for any legislation or lawsuits, because the religious exemption will be made into a law. That's what they're doing, because people aren't paying attention. And that's going on in your towns too.
I would question the fact that the people of Massachusetts allow your state legislature, both the Senate and the House, to deliberate in private, that it's not public. And they do things behind closed doors. They make agreements behind closed doors. There's no transparency whatsoever in Massachusetts government, period. And if you go by the laws that the towns have to abide by, the towns and cities, when it comes to executive sessions, they have 10 specific reasons, that does not apply to the state Senate or the state or the House. So how can you pass these laws and force the towns and municipalities to follow this when your own government for the state is not doing it?
Well, then you wonder how many people are abdicating responsibility. The kid who, not so much the kid that picked his nose in class, but maybe the kid who was between the guy who picked his nose in class and the guy who fell asleep. Like, that's the guy who ends up being your town manager somewhere, because nobody else wants to do it or pay attention.
Well, no, there are some really good, solid town managers.
Well, because you probably know them, the ones that I have met, you ask a question, okay, can I find out where this tax, whatever, like, oh, I don't know that.
Well, I'll tell you who's one that's really good. It's in your next town over in Mashpee.
Oh,
where you live. Yes.
Collins.
Yes, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you also have some really bad eggs that are out there. Ones that portray themselves as knowing how to do their job, but when they're actually put into the job, they're so inexperienced and they just don't know what they're doing. And as select board members, for example, you're supposed to look into the people that you're hiring. But when sometimes select board members, for a little pat on the back, for a little money from the state, because they know a state rep or they know a state senator or whatever, with a little let me fill these positions for you. I got a lot of friends, kind of like what Julian Sear did in Provincetown.
Oh, with Alex Morse, who didn't technically violate UMass Amherst. Professors can't have relationships with their adult students. But he didn't technically because he didn't supervise them. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder how many of them would be on Julian Sear's payroll.
But then he went from, So then he went from youngest, was he mayor of Holyoke at like age 22. So that place is about to implode on itself anyways. So at 31, he's teaching at UMass Amherst, and he starts like speed dating at school. Like, I just smacked somebody one time. I'm not literally smack, but smack with words. Don't call the police don't speed date at work. Don't do it. And it was Alex Morse. And he had been at 31, had like hit these kids up on social media and have relationships. And of course they're like, oh, you're the Holyoke, mayor, and you're blah, 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 blah. And he got taken to the woodshed, because I'd be mad even if my 18-year-old daughter was at college, and a 31-year-old male professor was like hitting her up on social media wanting to get a cocktail. Like, I'd be mad. I don't care that he's gay. I care that it's inappropriate.
Well, if they have any type of level of authority over a student, or something that the student needs, which gives him power over that student, which could be a grade. Okay.
Or
it's definitely inappropriate.
Or reference, whatever they call it.
Yeah. A referral reference, but anything, that they would have that could affect the students moving forward.
Sorry.
And yes, I understand that they're adults,
but it's just
right. But still, it's inappropriate,
predatory to me.
Now, was he asked to leave UMass?
Well, there's an investigation, and he wasn't, technically didn't violate it, but all of a sudden he got a job as the Provincetown town manager at, I think, twice or three times the rate that the other poor guy had. And then he got a housing stipend as well. So he went from Holyoke all the way to P-Town as the town manager.
Wow, he got a damn good deal getting a housing stipend. That's outrageous.
Yeah, a housing stipend, and I don't know, he'll probably just.
I'm going to have to go sit there and take a little look at Provincetown and see exactly what his contract looks like. I just
But
think
what
I
was
might do that.
it's like the gossip, and this is totally gossip because this is our social day show, but the gossip was that one of the students that was there had purposely done this so that they could work on campaigns or get a job. So the rumor was that one of the guys was upset after having relations or friendships or whatever with Alex Morse, and allegedly there was a payoff through OCPF campaign finances.
Oh, very interesting.
So yeah, so
easy to confirm.
That's always fun to look at too, because if anybody
is that how Barney Frank used to pay off his interns?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's funny that Barney Frank's like, I'm out of the closet, like, like, so you didn't know that we knew that you were gay?
But I mean, he had inappropriate relations with his interns.
Oh, he did. But...
And he got, I don't know. I don't think he ended up getting censured. I think for whatever reason that they decided not to censure him. And speaking of like censure, I mean, I don't know if you heard that like Adam Schiff, you remember Shithead, Adam Shithead, you remember him? He took to task the attorney that was investigating, Biden's classified information and everything. And he's telling him, you never should have written that. And the guy was like, I am putting the truth. I mean,
it seemed to be truth adverse.
The Biden is a senile, addled, brained fool is what he is. Someone said that the night of State of the Union that they probably had him shot full of Adderall just to get him through it.
Well, I don't know what they're pumping. It feels Frankensteinish to me.
But the next day in Pennsylvania, I think we were talking with Rick, our producer, about this. He was completely out of the loop. Like he didn't know what in the living hell he was saying. I think at one point, Rick, did you say he said he was running for Congress?
Yes.
I mean, that's insane.
Well, when we all know, and some people, this is what I don't get. Allegedly educated on paper, people will say, I'm going to vote for Biden all over again. I said, why? Why would you do that? And
why would you continue these high prices? Why would you continue? I mean, we have I can't understand the way people think today. I just don't get it.
Well, my son got irritated with me the other day because he said at 11 o'clock at night, right? Well, I just hung up with you on a case. And he said, hi, Mama, I have to write this paper and it's due tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I could probably write a paper right now. And they were asking him to compare, which I thought was weird, to compare the 2020 election and this election and what their prediction was. And I was like, whoa. They want you to talk about the 2020 election in year 16? So I said, I'd love to write this. And I said, because I said, are you going to write about the fact that the election was stolen? And he picked up his stuff and he huffed and walked out. He's like, forget it, Mom. And I was like, I don't understand why you're upset right now. But I was like, whatever. I just went back to doing my work. But that's why, because people, I don't know why. Nobody knows, remember when we took civics?
Yes.
It was so boring, but you knew what your town did and how they did it. And
we learned. And it's something that I will say for our school district up here, when my youngest took it and my oldest took it, civics was a full 1-year course. And it wasn't easy. But they learned, and they know exactly that there's 3 freaking branches of the government, like unlike half the college students that are out there today.
So embarrassing.
And they know what the Electoral College is, and they know why it's there. You know what I mean? And when you hear someone say it should be by population, we should, we obviously should have more senators, and it's like, you friggin' idiot. There's 2 senators for every freaking state, you moron. It's your House reps that you have more of. You know what I mean?
That's when you're like, you can't even, like I have a relative who went to all Ivy League schools and this and that. Was like, I don't really know what a senator does. And I was like,
well, if you're Bob Menendez from New Jersey, you make some big buka bucks by buying gold bars or actually having gold bars given to you. And he's still a sitting senator who has been arrested by the freaking FBI. Do you think he's resigned? No, he hasn't. You know why? Because the Senate is too freaking close, and what's his face? Schumer will not he should be removed from his seat. Okay? He is they have so much evidence on this guy, all right? And he will not resign. Will not resign.
That's funny because I was mentioning to someone when I ran for Senate in 2022, I said, do you know what that person's background is? And then I went on to tell her, and she goes, the voters don't care. They don't even know. I was like,
and that's like, sad case.
Showed that it was kind of true.
But someone brought up a good point about the Massachusetts elections, which I found very interesting on one of, I don't remember which side it was, but they said they were looking at some of the numbers and the variances and the totals and all that stuff and the blanks. All right. And someone was like, but someone brought up a really good point. They said, this sounds like, in these areas are a lot of colleges, which, my radar went right up when I saw that. I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of colleges. And quite frankly, until the states get off of their asses and say, guess what, college kids that don't have a permanent residence here, you don't get to vote here. You vote absentee because you know what? You're mature. You should be able to sit there and vote where you're from, where your license is from, where you live most of the time. Stop voting in our states and changing it, because I can guarantee you if 3/4 of your college students in Boston and all that area, Massachusetts would at a minimum be purple. At a minimum, if those college kids had to vote at their homes, in their homes.
How about we have
home states, not their homes.
Here's why we lose. Okay, here's why we lose down here. And I believe we read the letter from a woman who's a Republican, and the joke is if you have a strong candidate, like say, I don't know, somebody who was in former military and maybe law enforcement and had some life experience and maybe ran a company or something. Maybe you have a person like that. And then the establishment runs someone against you. That was the joke, right? So what they do here in Massachusetts and in Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket is the Republican leaders are very tight with the Democrats, even though they say that they're not, but they're tight with the Democrats. So what they do is the Democrats work in tandem. So the Republican, maybe state committee person, puts up a candidate or refuses to help another candidate, maybe something like that. And then the Democrats will vote for the weaker candidate so that their Democrat senator doesn't have to go and actually answer any questions. So one of the things we should do in Massachusetts, and I don't know if Amy Carnevale will do it, but is to have closed primaries. No Democrats vote in Republican primaries, because that way Democrats can't choose who wins the Republican primary. And that's why we keep losing, is because Judy Crocker will put up some candidates, or if another candidate is running, she'll put a candidate against that person and then get her Democrat friends to vote for that person while charging that person money to run the campaign.
Yeah, I mean,
that for there's an old I remember we were talking about the other day. It was like one of those moral stories, like the snake was like, I'm going to eat you, so you shouldn't trust me. And then the mouse or whatever it was like, but maybe we can be friends. And the snake was like, no, I'm telling you, I'm definitely, no matter what I say, I'm definitely going to eat you. And then the mouse still thinks that, after said, I'm going to eat you, wait, maybe we can be friends. I can be Democrat-like. And then at the end, the snake just eats the thing. That's what happens to Judy's candidates.
Yeah.
When people show you who they are. And when people get other people to do their bidding, my thing is if someone came up to me and was like, I can't stand you because of X, Y, and X, Y, and Z, and I would be like, that's awesome. That was really brave of you to come up and say that to me, right? Because I'd rather have someone say it to my face. But
then you could talk with them and say, right. All right, so let me explain to you why I support X, Y, and Z and Q and whatever.
Or anything in life, just whatever,
Yeah.
So when you have someone do your bidding for you, you're the worst leader in the world. Like when you get another candidate to call on the radio and trash someone that has nothing to do with you, really, that person who asked you to do that bad thing to made you look bad, but you did it willingly. So you did what that Judy could have just called in, herself. But so when they say that they don't talk about Republicans, they do behind the scenes.
Oh, God. Well, hello, unwritten rule. They do everything behind the scenes.
Right. So when someone's truthful.
And I would certainly hope, and we've made some of the Trump officials aware of exactly what was transpiring down at the Cape and Islands and the wolves in sheep clothing. And they've been fully aware the whole time, good, because we have a conduit directly into, Trump's ear.
How about this, right? How about this? Judy doesn't have any kids, but still, I'm sure she has some relatives or whatever that have kids. This bill from Rebecca Rausch, it's H2151, purports to improve and standardize immunity. But what they want to do is allowing any physician to administer vaccination to minors without parental consent or knowledge, with no limitations on age or intellectual ability.
What?
Furthermore, medical records pertaining to vaccination would be concealed from the parents. Granting private daycare centers, preschools, or colleges, universities, the ability to establish their own policies. This includes the potential to outright deny religious exemptions and impose additional vaccines beyond those specified by the Mass Department of Public Health. Modifying the existing law for religious exemptions by mandating the use of a form prepared by the Department of Public Health and requiring annual approval from the DPH, leaving them susceptible to exploitation. Granting the DPH the authority to alter medical and religious exemptions without undergoing a legislative process. Okay, so Judy's working with people who want to take your kids, pump them full of God knows what, and then keep it a secret from you like it's Frankenstein.
So who among the two that are down the Cape have been outspoken about this?
None. No one.
Who besides
one of them probably doesn't even know about it.
But I mean, here's the thing, and this is what's going on when you have a single party rule state, like your California, like your Massachusetts, whatever. They push through these things, hopefully, somebody's going to say something because that's completely outrageous. I just have no words about how Massachusetts wants to make, the community village of raising kids. I'm sorry. Unless you're going to pay for every single thing that has to do with my child, you don't get a say.
Oh, they don't care about that. They don't care. It's just big pharma, right? Because Rebecca Rausch, the one who wrote the Ranch, I call it.
Yeah, well, who do you think's being paid by the lobbyists of Big Pharma?
Well, she was a Big Pharma attorney, so I'm sure that's where she gets some of her, OCPF coffee money.
Every single day, you're seeing more and more information coming out about the COVID-19 vaccine. Every single day, and about how they conspired and who they conspired with.
Yep.
And, luckily the bill died in New Hampshire where they were trying to make the COVID-19 vaccine part of the immunization schedule, which was outrageous in itself. And there's a doctor, I would love to sit there and get her on our show, who testified. I'll find out what her name is. She testified. She flew all the way up from Texas and testified as a doctor about, what she saw with these vaccines and with the kids and what can happen to them and the horrors. And, some of the people that brought this forth were Democrats in New Hampshire that they're doctors. Oh, we got it. Yeah. Who are you paid by? Who are you paid by? Follow the money trail and you'll always have your answer.
Okay. I'll tell you why those, it all, and William Peters told us about this. He studied viruses in Johns Hopkins, and he has a PhD in biotechnology or biotech engineering. So, and he is a regular guy. He can make a sandwich and, change the oil in his Jeep. So he's very well-rounded. But there's retaliation in all forms of education, especially. No one gets paid $1 million to write a theory or a research project for something that doesn't work, right? So they either have to fudge to show that it does work so that they can sell this product. And if you go against the grain in medical school, you won't get any research funded, and you have to play the game, which is gross. And tainted and twisted, and doctors are supposed to take an oath to first do no harm. So,
because imagine that it's only health professionals that can violate HIPAA, not office workers, not human resources. Because I was amazed because it's only healthcare professionals that are directly working for healthcare that can violate HIPAA.
But this is what I don't understand. So, why? Okay, so if all that is true, why is it that the COVID vaccine is talked about and people are discriminated against because they didn't take it, and they're always tied into like you're an extremist or you're this or you're that?
Well,
Maybe
it's
that's why I didn't take it, and not plus I didn't know what it was.
It's flipped. Okay, the script has flipped once all the information started coming out. What really got me concerned, okay, was when I started hearing about healthcare workers that were they opted to not get the shot, or they opted not to get anything after that first booster where they said something's wrong. Something isn't right with this, okay? And because as more and more research came out, and then you find that the tech companies were all conspiring together at the government's behest, Joe Biden, to cover up, to squash it, to try and eliminate it from any search functions, to, censor, remove, the ability for these people to like make money to get the word out. I mean, it was outrageous.
How about this? Think of it this way. The parallels between COVID and school shootings. I wish there was another name for school shootings, right? But how legal is it if there's a shooting in the area for the school to hold you inside the school or not allow you inside the school to get your child?
It's absolutely. That's part of the safety plan.
So they can say, but with what authority do they do that?
Because it's in every parent handbook.
But what authority, though? Not just because the school.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Because, and you and I, and you're coming at it from one angle, I'm coming at it from another, okay? When it is a soft lockdown, okay, people can still come in and out, but it has to be authorized, whatnot. They don't want people coming in any of like the outside doors with the exception of the front, all right? And it is still the school in charge. School officials are still in charge. When it becomes a hard lockdown, all the responsibility goes to the local police department. They put up a perimeter, and no one can get in and out of that school. They stay in that school, period, until it is declared secure by the
But
police
you're saying that
department.
if that's an active shooter in the school, I mean, if it's
No, that is an active shooter in the area if they do not know where that person is at that time. If they suspect, okay, because the last thing you want to do is have parents rush to the school and have an active shooter that's close by and there's bullets that go flying and then kids can get hit. That's why it has to be a controlled evacuation.
Well, that's
okay.
From your perspective.
I mean, I'm just saying, working all the years I did on
But I'm not
the
even
safety committee.
that. I just
But also saying it's not like school officials developed these plans. These plans were all developed with your local police chiefs and police officers and fire departments and whatnot.
I'm just saying, what's the authority to say you as an adult can't leave this building?
Because 9 out of 10 times the teacher as an adult, and if you're talking about as a parent, I can't answer the person that told you couldn't leave as a parent.
A parent walks in, the kid forgot their lunch, they're bringing in the lunch, all of a sudden the school goes down to a lockdown, and they tell the mother, you can't leave. It's a soft lockdown, you can't leave. There's no threat, but you can't leave.
The only thing I could think of is if it was if it put the school at liability by allowing you to leave and you got shot on school property.
But what if
the school district could still be liable?
No, I'm just wondering, what authority do they have to say, like me, principal so-and-so, is telling you, Mrs. Sabatini, that you dropped off Auntie's lunch and now you can't leave? With what authority? What's the authority? Like, it might be common sense, but what authority do they have? If I was like, I want to leave, and they're like, well, I'm not letting you.
I guess it depends on if, in conjunction with the local police department has stated no one can go out of the school.
With what authority?
The local police department's authority. They have the jurisdiction.
But you can't tell me that I can't move about freely, and there's no, quote, danger.
I think they could qualify it as for the safety of everyone. But that's a good question for you to contact Barnstable PD and ask them that question.
Yeah, no thanks. Well, I called the state police where there's people that I know, and they're like, right. Oh, we didn't know there was an active shooter.
Imagine not letting them know that. That's insane.
And I was like, yeah, he said we got it off of Facebook.
Oh my! I
was like, oh, I said.
But are you surprised though with Barnstable? But I digress.
Well, I don't really know the woman who's the chief or whatever. I know that when I ran in 2022, I called her up and said I just was curious about what's going on and what are the needs here, and she said she wasn't interested in being in politics, and now she's the chief.
Nice.
I can't remember. Jeannie Chalice, I think her name is. So,
unbelievable.
I don't know.
But so we do have our idea that's going to be forthcoming. Daryl and Michael are, for the people interested down the Cape, are going to be meeting to have their debriefing, and then once that happens, we're going to be coming forth with, I wouldn't say like an alternative, but it's something that the voters that voted for you and Michael truly believed in what you guys could do. And there's nothing that says you can't do it.
Yeah, and I haven't really addressed anything on any of our social media because I needed to take a breath. Like, I hadn't seen my kids, I feel like, since 2022. And I fell asleep on the couch the other night, and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. So I've been just doing the things that I feel like I've been neglecting, and I'm not upset that I neglected those things, but I have to kind of get back into a routine, and we all have to find out, our place and how we're just going to make Cape and Islands a better place to live, and to have better elected officials that, don't call people names and are truly wanting to do the right thing for the right reasons. And I haven't seen that, which is disappointing. I have a few people out, Harwich, Dennis area that, I think do a really good job because it's the right thing, but I don't know.
But you know what? There's more. There's so many more that are out there, but they just don't know what they can do or how they can do it, and that's part of something that you and Michael have been looking at, putting together with a few other interested parties that we're not going to put any names on anything right now. That will soon come out in the next few weeks.
With positive. Positive boundaries. You don't do this, you don't do that. If you have a problem with someone, then let's mediate it and see, to see if it's even a really sound judgment to make, to have a grudge against someone that you don't know, and that's just where the transparency comes in. And, I thought we would be able to put to ask for transparency, because this is how we get to the place that we are right now when we don't know what's going on and people are telling us it's raining when it's not.
Right. But it's going to be
to be able to inform people, and that people have to want to be informed as well.
Yeah, and I think you both have listened very intently to what the voters that voted for you guys told you what they were looking for. And what's been missing, they feel, from local representation all the way up to the state and federal level.
We're going to try to focus locally.
Yep.
And
you got to start local, and then once you get, because right now locally, you have a lot of stuff that's going on in the towns, and I think a lot of people might not necessarily know all the nooks and crannies of how towns are run, as an example. And they absolutely need to. The last place you can control taxes is your local district, usually.
And the selectmen should never, abdicate any kind of responsibility in my eyes.
Absolutely not. I mean, you elect your selectmen. They are responsible. They hold all the fiduciary responsibilities on how your money is spent. And if they do not oversee their town managers, they're the people you go to, and they're the people that you remove from office if you feel they're not doing what you want to do. But that doesn't remove who your town manager or whoever else that's there that might be doing the things that they abdicated the responsibility to. So you need to question everything. And remember, here's the most important part. Every communication between select board members and town manager, other than if it's personnel or any one of the 10 things that go under executive session, is all a public document. They have to provide it to you. They can't just tell you, no, you're not allowed access to it. Oh, yes, you are.
Right.
And if you go in, for example, when ballots are being counted and you're told you can't stand here because you have to be in another room, guess what? Yeah, you can be there.
Right.
Their only claim is you're intimidating me. How is someone intimidating you by standing there watching you? If that is the case, whoever that person was that claimed that they were intimidated needs to be looked at by their bosses.
Well, what that was that she obviously was trying to bully me to not want to watch the counting process. So
and you absolutely are entitled to watch the counting process. It's transparent.
Language like, obviously I don't think, she knows I'm a candidate, but I don't know what she exactly knows about me. But
once those polls closed, you had every right to be there.
But I felt like she was like trying to taunt me into some sort of reaction. And what people don't get is like, cops don't do that. They walk away from you and go, what a bitch, but they're not going to get a reaction. You're just going to ask questions, factual questions. What about, I was soaking wet and I was in a raincoat and I said, could you please, I don't understand what you're saying. Could you just tell me? You mean my mere presence of me standing here is intimidating? And if you look at the law, it says if anyone is intimidating other voters, they can ask you to leave. So I was thinking,
other voters.
Right. But I was thinking,
that's a big difference.
They get me kicked out of here. There's nobody in there. And I wasn't in campaign gear. I was just merely standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Like merely, and I wasn't blocking an entrance. I was just standing there. And the kind of vitriol was crazy. Like, this is going to take hours. I said, okay, we'll wait. Well, it took 15 minutes.
And then she gave you a tape, and guess what? All the numbers have changed, and they don't have an explanation for it.
Yeah, it's, we have to start asking questions. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions.
Nope.
Oh, I forgot to tell about when the vault broke in 2022. And my state committee woman wouldn't tell me what was going on, wouldn't tell me why how the vault broke overnight. And, I still call bullshit on that. I think that's another, and Judy was the first one there. She said she got a call at 4:15. I'm like, oh, who called you at 4:15? She said, Matt Pitta. I said, Matt Pitta called you at 4:15 to tell you that the vault was broke. When Ann said she came in at 4 and found out the bolt was broke.
So here's my question that I would ask. Okay. Did they also call the Democrat state committee person when the vault was broken? Does anybody know the answer to that?
Well, it was a Republican primary, but
was it?
Yeah, it was me against Chris Luzon.
Yeah, but you were running for the Republican primary. The Democrat primary is at the same exact time.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that person is.
Yeah, well, the question to me is, if the vault was broken, did a phone call also go to the Democrat state committee person? Might be worth a phone call, don't you think?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
What was funny was I asked for the video. So I asked the video from the couple days before to a day afterwards, and they only gave me the day of the election. In the night before. It doesn't even look like someone shut the vault the night before. And as a matter of fact, someone told me that Ann did not shut the vault. And that person had to say, hey, you didn't lock the vault. So then they locked the vault. And then somehow overnight, with no footage to see who came in and out of the building, the vaults broke the next day. And so I go there to ask questions. Well, are you printing ballots here? Nope. We're not. Okay, well, who is? They're not going to tell you. So I finally grab Lisa Gage. She's the Republican registrar. And I say, Lisa, are we printing ballots? She's like, nope. And I go, what do you mean? And so I just kept asking questions. And she said, they went over to Sunderland Printing. And I was like, what time? She's like, I don't know. I said, well, was there an election official there to meet the email that this Secretary of State emailed a ballot to this random Sunderland Printing? I said, how many did you guys print off? She's like, I don't know. I go, you're the Republican registrar. Why weren't you there? I go, who had custody of them? I don't know. Well, how long did it take from the time that they printed them off till the time they delivered them to the precincts? I don't know. Okay, why did we run out of Republican ballots in 3 precincts? I don't know. So then Judy says, you don't have to answer any of her questions because she's a candidate. I go, Judy, a broken vault on a primary. I go, and Julian Sear is buying lunch for all the people who are hand counting ballots. Like, he took a ferry from Boston and bought everyone who was counting ballots lunch.
Can I just tell you something about in New Hampshire, when I think either they ran out of ballots or something like that, whatever. They had people that drove from Secretary of State's office to bring the ballots.
Well, why did they do that? They knew it.
Secondly, anytime a box is opened, I have to sign a form that actually goes to the Secretary of State. That we all have to sit there and sign, saying that the box was opened. Anytime a box is opened of the ballots, and that's how the chain of custody works. And to find that, like, they send it to a printer to have them print it up is like insane. I mean, I'm like shocked over that. And actually, so wasn't, my town moderator as well. She was like, I really heard about that. I should have asked. So the Secretary of State of New Hampshire came to our town yesterday, and I should have asked him when he he was walking by. I should have said, is this normal? Your Secretary of State. I mean, everybody knows who Dave Scanlon is. I mean, Bill Gardner was our Secretary of State before for 30-something years. Dave Scanlon took over for him, and great guy, smart as a whip. He's the one that was, pretty much saying...
Like 80?
No, he's young.
Smart as a whip?
Yes. But he was like, when it came to the Democrats saying that, Republicans have to... say that they're going to change the law so New Hampshire's not the first in the nation. It's like, screw you. And he battled. I mean, he battled to make sure it stayed here because he was like, I'll sit there and schedule the damn thing in October if I have to. To make sure it's first in the nation. But, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But this is what happens when you're in Massachusetts and you're a one-party state. They can do whatever they want, and no one questions it.
Well, they're a one-party state because our progressives sell us out.
Yes.
People would have still believed that Romney was Republican if Trump hadn't come along.
Very true. I mean, I voted for Romney because I wasn't
me too.
But and think about the stuff that I mean, granted, a lot of stuff I don't agree with Romney because he ended up reacting with emotion because he detested Trump.
They're all such babies,
yeah. But Romney also he when he was running for president, he had really valid points. Okay. And he was right. And they did the same thing to him that they did to Trump, except for whatever reason, he turned on Trump because Trump spoke out about it. Now, is that your unwritten rule? It could very well be. But he's going to be out of it pretty quick because he's not running for re-election or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, talk about lies.
It just gets really tiring seeing the state, that I grew up in and sadly voted for Dukakis my very first vote. What was I thinking?
So how about this? How about when you go into a bank, and you see a girl, she definitely graduated from high school, has nice clothes on, and is wearing a mask. I look at that person, I'm like, I just... I mean,
there are some people legitimately that would be wearing a mask anyways if they're, compromised, their immunity is compromised, whatever. Of course, that's, to be expected.
Yeah, when they're outside, walk, on a walk wearing a mask, I'm like, oh my God, that person's a nut. I have to get away from them. Honest to God, that's the first thing I think is, when was the last time they washed that? Have they been wearing that mask since 2020?
I don't know. But like I said, there are some that, when you hear that, didn't Massachusetts try to start considering bringing back masks again for colleges?
Try it. I can't see. I mean, parents have had enough. Imagine paying, $80,000, $60,000 to $80,000 for your kid to go to BU and they're remote. No,
that's insane.
No. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't send I'm afraid to send my kids to college. I mean, I have to either send them to college and they come back and they're all roboted and boosted for the 19th, 20th time, and they have a malignant tumor and a stroke. I'm like, well, good thing you didn't get COVID.
Oh,
Took
God.
19 million boosters.
Look, Gabby went to college in Massachusetts, and she did not come back this insane liberal person. Although she did recollect that she had to take some, I don't know if it was a social justice class, whatever, which, she's like, that's where I'm just going to go in, keep my mouth quiet, and get my grade. Yep. But they had to study, and you'll think this is kind of funny, but not really, but they had to study the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing. I'm like, oh God, Christina Blasey. Whatever. I was like, God. I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have been thrown out of the class.
Well, it's like my son. He's like, I have to write this thing. I'm like, so what? Because I always want to be clear, right? What for clarity? What are you looking for me to do? Like, what's my role in this? Do you want me to write the paper? He's like, no.
You're not supposed to be writing the paper.
Whatever. It was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Or help you, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
cheat.
Give talking points.
Cheat. You know what I mean? So, and he's like, well, it's Washington. He goes, I have to do the Washington results, not Massachusetts. And I was like, okay. And they said they want me to compare 2020 to 2024. I said, they want you to talk about them stealing the election. And he got all pissy, picked up his stuff and walked out of my room. Like, imagine that after 4 years of college.
Yeah, I mean, no.
You know what I mean? I would be like, your kid would be a total stranger. But they're not interested in politics at all. Like, not at all.
Well, I mean, a lot of kids aren't. Like my kids are always, sometimes they'll be like, Mom, enough. And I'm like, listen, guess what? If you guys take that type of approach, then they're going to continue doing anything they want. Yet, when you get your paychecks, you're the first ones to sit there and rant about all your damn taxes.
Speaking of paychecks, guess who's back? Like another one of our broomstick riders, Rachel Rollins is working.
Oh dear Lord!
Community college. Is that Dante's Inferno? Was it like the sixth ring of hell?
Did you hear?
What?
She got disbarred in the state of Massachusetts.
I am shocked and.
She's disbarred. Positive. I saw the thing that came out today. She has been disbarred.
Wow.
Look it up. Hold on. I'll try and look it up if I can read because I don't have my glasses on. But yep, she was disbarred in the state of Massachusetts.
And I shout out to our friend Katie Lawson, right? Oh, yes. Whistleblowers. I wanted to be able to read the whistleblower statute, but I don't think we'll be able to have time because there's some corruption going around in towns and in law enforcement agencies, and people are coming forward. And we've contacted we don't typically do this, but some special whistleblower attorneys. So that is pretty exciting direction for our business to go into because we keep confidentiality, like in the vault.
Yeah. Yes, I just found it right here on NBC Boston. Rachel Rollins' license to practice law in Massachusetts has been suspended.
I mean, does that mean she could practice law elsewhere? Or
No, it's reciprocal, I'm pretty sure.
It's suspended. So,
well, they said Rachel Rollins was among hundreds of lawyers to the Board of Bar Overseers sought to suspend for non-payment. Oh, she didn't pay for her registration fees. Give me a break.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but she's been suspended right now in the state of Massachusetts.
But suspended doesn't mean...
Yeah, you're right.
It just means that she's getting a timeout.
If she pays her fees, she would be reinstated
in
a certain amount of time. I would make her take the damn test again.
Well, what I don't understand is, and I don't know enough about it, but just off the top of my head, she didn't lose her license for violating the federal fundraising act.
No, because she didn't pay her registration fee.
Or for being friends with someone who scammed millions out of poor people in Boston.
She got imagine
because she didn't pay her fees.
It's the usual case of in Democrats, whenever anybody does anything shady, they promote them always.
Wow.
But in fairness, one of the things I think if we focus on is if we find things that we can agree on instead of all the things we disagree on.
Sure.
Then you build consensus. And then what happens is your far right fringe and your far left fringe. And what do you call people like the Crockers establishment, whatever. They will have no choice because they won't be relevant anymore. So that's when you're going to see the really big battles begin, when they're fighting for the relevancy.
Well,
but
it's the ball's in their court. They're the ones that have to actually perform now.
Yeah, and I mean,
they're the ones that are going to have to actually do the work.
And do they honestly think that the shadows of Double D Uncensored and Michael D Uncensored are not going to be leaning over their little shoulders?
Well, I want to see where the money came from the campaign.
Well, they don't have to show that.
Oh, I know, but I'd like.
But she's a great fundraiser. That's what we heard. She's a great fundraiser. It's too bad that she can only get herself elected, but she can't really get the candidates elected now.
But listen, is she getting herself elected, or are Democrats helping her lose Republican elections but win hers? How do you lose 4 or 5 in a row and then all of a sudden you win your own? Because I believe she's in cahoots with Democrats to, there's some money issues there or something. It's my opinion. It's not a fact yet, but you don't lose 4 huge elections like that and then
not even bring forth a candidate to run in 2020 against the sitting state senator.
But to be able to, they live in a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom ranch, okay, which I wish I did. I wish I was paying for a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom ranch right now, right? And they spent at least $100,000. So that money came from somebody. And
she's good at fundraising, didn't you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, why didn't she fundraise for Chris Luzon? He's only got $18,000. Why didn't she? He's had OCPF open for 2 years. Why doesn't she? If she can raise $100,000, raise it for Chris Luzon.
I can tell you why she's not doing it for Chris Luzon, because he's not paying her. Well, if he was paying her to do his marketing, because he's not, but if he was paying her to do his marketing, you can be assured that she would be obviously charging him money like she charged Tim Whalen and Tracy Post, whatever. But that's what you would sell to him. I give him credit. He is using someone that is not her.
She said that she was his campaign manager.
When did she say she was his campaign manager?
She says, I have Chris Luzon, when we were at the Chatham Republican Town Committee. But when Chris is asked who his campaign manager is to contact, he says, just go through Chris. But,
No, but she might think, she in her head might think that, being Miss Queen Bee of Republican State Committee, that she has Chris Luzon. But Chris Luzon, I believe, is smart enough to not hire her, because maybe Chris Luzon realizes she has such a losing streak, that he's gonna, use the whoever it was that he hired for his media thing. But I hadn't heard that she's his manager.
They'll throw up somebody at the last minute to primary Chris.
You think they will?
Yeah. Yeah, or why didn't she help him last time if she wanted him to win?
Yeah, because God knows she didn't want you to.
Well, that's obvious. They had broke the vault and had all Democrats go vote. But, but I laid this out before, and I gave this example, and this is how it works. That's why we need a closed primary.
Yeah, but here's the issue sometimes with the closed primary is you have a lot of unenrolled. Yes, you're going to have your faction that's going to cross over and cause mischief. But you also have the faction that vote, by the issues, by the candidate themselves. And that's when they decide, I want to take a Republican ballot. And it's the ones that cross over to cause the mischief, that cause the problems for the rest of the people who are just voting the way that they should, which is by the candidate of their choice. That's a problem that you find. But yeah, yes, New Hampshire. Well, no, because we have ours is open. The unenrolled can vote for who they want to. They just have to make sure that at the end of when they vote, they have to go back and turn it back to unenrolled, or else when it comes to the election, they have to vote, Republican or Democrat, however they left it as. So that's a risk they run. You don't automatically get to go back to being unenrolled.
Well, what I think it is by not having a closed Republican Party, you are allowing interference from the Democrats who may be in cahoots with other people who are supposed to help candidates as controlled opposition. So we haven't seen, anybody with any Republican gonads for a while.
Here's the thing, though. You had a lot of unenrolled people that came out and voted for you and Mike because they liked your message.
Right.
They wouldn't have been able to vote for you if it had been closed. Okay.
Well, at some point you have to say, there's manipulation for sure. There's definitely some manipulation. And we saw that. Maybe the Secretary of State will be able to tell us how that happened because
numbers aren't adding up.
Because the numbers aren't right. But the whole thing, like I said, if they were really truly running on issues that were true, I'd be like, what a great campaign. I think you realize that they won on lies and misconception. So that's kind of what makes you, and everybody knows it. So then you're going to think so who's going to vote for any of Judy Crocker's candidates? They're going to think that every commercial they do or everything they say is a big lie. That's what I would think.
That's the truth. So candidates now have to consider the fact that in reality, the Crockers are tainted.
Yeah.
They are tainted.
For sure.
They were tainted the very second Howie Carr came out and supported them. When you have Howie Carr, who eviscerated Judy Crocker to the ground, like literally was dripping with the venom, his venomous comments about her because he couldn't stand her, period. He was vicious. Like I haven't seen vicious, really vicious about her. And
in 2016, you mean?
No, he was in 2022. 2020, I'm sorry, whatever it was. In 2022, he trashed her. Completely trashed her. All right? This is before he had his little freaking breakup with Jeff Deal or whatever. Trashed her over the summer. All right?
Jeff Deal.
Whatever. But he completely trashed her. He eviscerated her. The comments he made were derogatory. You know how he gets, right?
I don't remember any of those because
I'll find them for you. I found them.
She was in my rear, she was in my rear view. I just thought.
Yeah, but the thing was, and he had endorsed you. All right.
Yeah.
So we talked about this. You haven't changed since 2022.
Nope.
We know for sure Judy Crocker hasn't changed since 2022. So what changed? Howie Crocker changed. Howie Crocker. See, there I am. Hanoi Howie changed. Hashtag Hanoi Howie changed because he got some little buckaroos in his pocket, I'm sure, to endorse them. He endorsed certain candidates, and what she did is she took his endorsement and made the whole commercial with her own, comments that she added in that she misspelled, corrupted in there, which I had to point out, but, she went and fixed it. Anyhow, I digress. But, Howie Carr, and he's crowing about how great it is that he won the election for the real Republicans, when in reality, he put in the very people he abhorred more than anything.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 4 years ago. And he was endorsing them. So there has to be a reason why.
Because he's getting paid. But wouldn't you think Howie's got a ton of dough? He could afford to. He was supposed to be the truth teller. That's the thing that makes me the most upset.
Yeah, because, you had a good rapport with him 2 years ago. You were on his show all the time. He was very instrumental as far as getting the word out about the petition for, to stop illegal immigrants from getting driver's licenses. And yet, the very people he is supporting are all the ones that were against or didn't even remotely take part in getting any of the signatures for the petition.
But how about this? How can you run against Maureen Maloney? I mean, she's the one who started that petition. And, it looks like, they.
He just sounds like a petulant little brat, is what he sounds like. And it's an old shtick. I mean, it's like a washed up comedian that says the same thing over and over again. That's how he sounds. His stupid comments, his names that he calls people. And, and then the fact, the complete lack of respect. All right. First of all, the Quackers need to realize that Jeff Deal is elected by his constituents, just like they were. Yeah. And they sit there and they call him DoorDash Deal.
Right in the
How dare they? Who do they think they are?
They're mean.
They are obnoxious. They're rude. Their lack of professionalism is an embarrassment to the Cape and Islands, and I would hope people would hold them accountable because that's an embarrassment. They're no better. They're no better than Howie Carr, and Howie Carr's comments is like he's like an immature old man.
But how about this? How about if someone said that they hated you? In my moral and ethical compass internally, I'm not going to go to that person and ask them a favor or pay them to do something for me. I couldn't.
If someone said they hated me, I'd be like, you don't know me well enough to hate me, but give me a reason and we can work on it.
I told Rob Chamberlain, I'm like, just get to know me and then you can hate me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for the people that I like, I might be an angel. The people I don't like
love me. I don't get it.
I mean, Daryl, and when people get on my bad side, it's very rare that they ever will get back off of my bad side.
We need to go to an island so we have no bad sides anywhere.
Just like ocean views and stuff like that. But I think we're almost approaching the end of our time. Poor Rick is probably asleep in his chair, ready to go to bed. Although, wait a minute, he's a couple hours behind us, isn't he?
One night, I almost sent it to his house.
Are you an hour behind me? I was very sad to lose my hour of sleep this past weekend. I was very displeased about that.
I didn't notice.
You died. I did. Do you really? Because I feel like I'd lose my hour of sleep for the entire time, which my husband told me, Diane, it's only for one night. And I'm like, I don't care what you say. I know it's longer than that.
Well, I could tell you how I could tell you how I feel about that, but then I'd wind up on your bad side and you wouldn't talk to me anymore. So
I'd always talk to you. You're the best boss man in the world.
Anymore. Is that a threat or a promise?
Take your pick.
Yeah, you steal breadstick, Darren.
I'm not stealing.
Ouch.
Breadsticks are all stale. I don't get your guys. If you're moldy breadstick or something. Hey, Rick, when are we going to have a KLRN radio beach party somewhere?
I don't know. We can figure something out, though.
Okay.
Oh, we definitely need to. That would be a blast.
Or you guys could come here in the summer. Stay at my brother's place.
We'll figure something out. We probably do need to do it together sometime.
Pod jock. What's it called when you do stuff around the clock? Tired.
What?
When you do a marathon. You could do a marathon. We'll do a marathon. KLR marathon.
KLR. Oh my God! Can you even imagine?
I think it'd be fun. Or talking to people, Rick would be like, "What'd you say?" I said, "Media Park."
I asked where they parked the car.
Park the car at Harvard Yard.
Least favorite word, Rick.
I'm sorry, what?
What's your least favorite, Boston? Is it the park or the, I can't do that.
I don't know. It's like a bastardized English accent. I don't really like it at all.
Listen, I have to say that when I was at Heathrow Airport, okay, you could always tell when the plane from Boston landed because we'd be waiting to catch the one, going to Scotland, whatever. Oh my God, they'd come off the plane and I'd be like, oh my God, our accents are terrible. It's flat. But it's better than 10 times better than New York accents. And I know if JD ever hears this, he's going to be like, I'm going to get you, Diane.
So my cousin just said to me, are you coming to my wedding? And of course, I'm 57. She's older than me. And I said, yes. She goes, I need you to send me the, reply card. I was like, well, if you want the reply card, then I can't come because where the thing is. That one is going to be a fun one. I come in the room, and I think I told you this before. My auntie Eleanor's like, Rhonda, come here. Look at Daryl. And don't she look like Sandra, which is my mother? But she's prettier than Sandra. Yeah, Rhonda, remember she stole my bracelet? I know she stole it from me. It's like this whole back and forth. And I was just like, I love this family. And then someone else will come in and be like, that wasn't your bracelet. Yeah, it was mine.
It's like watching those video of women in Boston. Those are really funny. Well, we're at the end of our show pretty much, so we'll be on next week. And what are we going to be talking about next week?
We may have a whistleblower next week. I have to check their schedule, but we may have a whistleblower.
Oh, we like whistleblowers.
We do. And we'll have definitely some update on the political scene on the Cape. And we've invited Chris Luzon to come on. I know that he talked a lot about unity when he sent an email into Ed Lambert. So we would love to have him on if he would like to come on and be interviewed. We also welcome Dylan Fernandez, Carrie McRae, and Matt Moratori. We'd love to have you guys on the show.
Oh, let's have Julian's here too, since we're related somehow, some way. We can talk about our family tree.
Oh, really? He kind of looks like Donna Buckley a little bit. I thought maybe could be
before or after picture.
The assistant, yeah.
Let's invite Julian. I'll say we're family.
Oh, we have to tell him how you're family first. Maybe he would want to.
I mean, technically we are, believe it or not, through the Sear family line. CYR. Look that up.
We can't. Can we? Well,
Acadia.
We can still be best friends.
Listen, you know what is that thing? You pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
I thought you could pick your friends, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
What? Was that an East Boston thing? Because it definitely wasn't. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week.
Bye,
thank
guys.
you, and say thank you to the bestest producer in the entire planet, Boss Man
Rick Robinson.
Yeah.
Single ladies.
See you next week.